Okay, welcome. This is our AGB 212 final project video. We are team 3, section 1, and we will be presenting on the possible supply and demand shifters based on a 2017 LA Times article about USDA organic poultry eggs.
This is the graph we are basing our supply and demand curves off of. So we have two stories, and the first story we chose is if there were no change in the regulations. So for demand shifters, the category of price, if the price of organic eggs does not change, demand for them will not change. Therefore, the graph will remain as is. For taste and preferences, if the buyer's expectations are not met in terms of the conditions required to obtain organic certification, demand will likely drop. Therefore, the graph will shift to the left. Expectations, if the buyer expects the conditions under which eggs are classified as organic does not change, the demand will most likely decrease since their expectations were not met. Therefore, the demand curve will shift down and to the right. For supply shifters, technology, if new technology is produced, meaning that it will not make the eggs any more organic, but it will make production faster, the supply for organic eggs will increase. Therefore, the supply curve shifts down and to the right. Prices of the factors of production. If the price of production continues to remain unchanged, the quantity of organic eggs produced will remain constant. Therefore, the graph will not shift. However, if it does become cheaper to produce organic eggs due to new technology, increased demand, etc., the supply of organic eggs will increase and possibly the demand as well. Therefore, the supply curve shifts down to the right, and the demand curve will possibly shift down to the right as well. For seller expectations, if the seller continues to produce as it does now, they may expect the demand for organic eggs to decrease due to bad practices, which means a decrease in demand and supply. Therefore, demand curve shifts down to the left and the supply curve will shift up.
So overall, if there is no change in the organic egg production laws or any expectations, the demand curve will generally shift down into the left, and supply will also generally shift down and to the right. This is due to no real changes in the expectation, price, or preferences from the consumer if everything just stayed the same. Possible changes in seller expectations, leading to sellers producing more eggs with less demand. There are some possible changes in the price that eggs are sold at, depending on the consumer demand. And then there will be no real changes in the technology needed to produce the eggs.
So this is our second story, and it's in the case that new regulations are implemented. In terms of demand shifters, one of the main ones is price. So if new regulations make it more expensive to produce organic eggs, demand for organic eggs will likely decrease. So we can expect a shift up because the price is increasing, and a shift to the left because demand is decreasing. In terms of taste and preferences, if buyer expectations are met in terms of the conditions required to obtain organic certification, demand will likely increase. So we can expect the graph to shift to the right because buyers are more happy with the product and therefore continuing to buy organic eggs. And lastly, demographic, if more consumers become aware of the ethical practices enforced through regulations, demand will likely increase. So more people hear about the new regulations and like those new regulations, demand will increase. So we can expect the graph to shift to the right. In terms of supply, so the main one was number of sellers. If new regulations make it harder to comply with USDA organic standards, supply will decrease because less companies can produce organic eggs. So we can expect the graph to shift to the left. In terms of prices of the factors of production, if new regulations make it more expensive to produce organic eggs, supply will again likely decrease because it is harder to produce eggs because they are more expensive. So we can expect the price to go up as well as the graph to shift towards the left. And lastly, seller expectations. If new regulations cause sellers to expect future organic egg prices to be high, supply will likely increase because companies believe they'll make more profit. So the graph will shift to the right.
So overall, if there is a change in the regulation of organic egg production, demand will generally see a shift up and to the right, and the supply will generally see a shift to the left. This is mainly due to changes in price due to increased costs from producing organic eggs, whether that is new technology, more labor, or a certification to make sure that the eggs are indeed organic. Consumer expectations being met and satisfied, the consumers knowing that these eggs are in fact organic. A decrease in sellers that might be due to increased costs of production, leading to a decrease in the supply, and increased production costs of producing the eggs that would include things like new technology or more labor.